Welcome to the second half of Chapter 10 of our It Is What It Is run through The Evil Within. This is the chapter that probably a lot of people have been waiting for. This is the chapter where you truly confront Laura. It's a lot of challenge. And you can see that I took the time to actually save, show you that I saved, and come back and prepare for it. I make it through the entire thing with one run, one continuous run, but it's not the first run by any means. It's I don't know how many times we tried to do this. It's not like it changes. If you're running a new game plus, you would have upgraded weapons. You might even have incinerate bolts at this point. Incinerate bolts obviously hurt her a lot, but this is a terrifying chapter. This is a terrifying segment of the game. This is one of the highlights of the entire game. As far as fear, it's amped up. You're always on edge. I know people say there's a lot of save points, auto save points, and so they never feel like the game gets all that survival horror to them. Maybe it was because I was trying to get it in one single run, so I was forcing myself to not use... The save points don't work well for video editing because you don't come back to the save point unless you magically knew exactly where to stand and how to position the camera. It's not like you can use the save point as a good cut point. So your only really good cut point from a video editing perspective is back there at the save. It's actually at the point where you go through the mirror is the best cut point from a video perspective. You don't get to do that again during this part of the chapter. So for us to get it all on camera, it had to all be in one take, so to speak. And because of that, I found this terrifying. I found it very frustrating. You know, I don't know what the 10th or 12th time we went through it. I don't know how many times it was. I didn't count them. I didn't even count the number of files that were generated trying to capture it. I didn't want to know, but it was hard. I found this terrifying the first time we went through it. Sure, there are checkpoints along the way, and you only have to deal with one particular area at a time. But each one of those areas is still terrifying. I don't know how anybody could say this wasn't scary. This was terrifying. Now, you see my note on the screen that says skip this key. We're going to skip this key in this run. You're allowed to skip 2 keys because there are going to be 2 keys in lockers that you're going to find along the way. So you can still get the Master of Unlocking even if you skip this key. But the only way to get this key is to kill Laura. Not just escape, but to actually kill her. To do that, you need more firepower than we have. This is an It Is What It Is run, which means we were not able to upgrade any of our weapons nor ourselves. We struggle with running from her because we can't run very far. We have no stamina. And we don't have incinerate bolts. And incinerate bolts are about the only thing that's going to actually harm her. You can pause her with freeze bolts and you can pause her with electrical bolts, but we only have 3 of each of those. There are essentially traps in here. There are, like you saw, we had to shoot a lever that changes the flame. You want to do this room in this order. You want to disarm that bomb so that you can stand back there before you do this lever. When you do this lever, it's going to turn off the fire to the right, which is where you need to go, but it doesn't do it right away. And if that bomb is over there, then you're left dealing with her in a place that you can't circle around. So you want to disarm that bomb first. Now what I'm doing is I'm purposely baiting her. I'm going to show you the ways you can harm her even if you don't have incinerate bolts. Is you bait her to get her following you around there at that kind of slow pace. And that stupid thing in my way, I couldn't see.
Damn it!
Camera got stuck behind something there, but you throw that switch and then it drops the flames down on her. You can obviously harm her that way, but even if you hit all of the traps, each one of those switches is a 1 flip thing. Like This one you absolutely have to hit. You have to get this one. If you don't get this one, you will not likely survive this, because you have to have her burning to have time to do this. And you need her burning. The only other place to burn her in here is just slightly off screen to the right of the screen here. You can see I'm going to try to catch her in that. On casual, it's odd, because casual it's actually kind of hard to hit those things, and that's because you need her under them. And when you first on casual, when you first pull the aim button, it'll auto aim on her. Shooting her is useless. Shooting her with a handgun's counterproductive. But we missed that one flame. So, but even if we had caught that flame, if we caught her in every single flame we could catch her in, I don't believe you can kill her that way. So without the incinerate bolts, it's just not going to work. And when you first come into this room, you want to make it's hard to see, but you don't want to. If you run too far into that room, you'll get trapped behind fire, and it's deadly. So. And what we always found works well here is to flip this switch early on quickly. Use that bomb to kind of hit her. She was scurrying pretty quick there, and you want to make sure you step back past the front part of that. If you stand out there, she'll come too quickly. But if you step back here, she'll have a hard time seeing you, and so she won't come as quickly, and you have time to get that lever. The third switch you need to get is just in that hallway to the right. You want to make sure she's coming down that side in that direction. Get that and continue on. Don't step into that room. I thought she was going to come around the other end, and I almost had to redo it again. I promise you I did this area more than once. There are bodies in there. If you burn her, she'll go into this blink state where she goes into kind of a red mist, and then she'll start coming out of another body. And you want to do these switches in this order as well. And the reason I'm saying that is because some of these switches open up other areas of flame and make it where you won't be able to pass in that direction. Now, she will come to whatever body's closest to you. So I'm purposely baiting her to come into that body so that body is not going to be there towards the end of the sequence. This is the second flame. I was kind of surprised it caught her because I did it a little too early. And when you hit this third switch, see how it opened that door, and now there's flames back there. Now at this point, there's a bomb on the other pillar, a proximity bomb, as well as a lever that you need to trip. You can't do the lever unless you get rid of the bomb. The bomb will go off while you're doing the lever if you try to do the lever while the bomb is still active. So here I'm trying to just hold her, get those two things done. Now opening this opens that flame thing, and really that's a problem with the way I set it up because I've got her on the wrong side. But it worked out. I was able to get by her. Remember, she's a one-shot kill. You can't just get scratched by her. I used up my electrical bolts. Oh no, it says I have one left. Okay, but the freeze bolts are working, so I'm going to try to just keep her frozen until it's open. So run, get out. Now none of that looked particularly challenging, but I promise you, if you do that right the first time, you're a hero. Because even knowing that's what I wanted to do and trying to do it, it took many playthroughs to get that all on camera once. Now there are save points. Each one of the rooms has its own save point, including the one where you drop down. That starts a new area. So that last little room you were in. So maybe people consider the penalties not very high because you don't have to do anything boring afterwards. But if you're not afraid of dying there, I guess you just are enjoying fighting with her, because fighting with her over and over and over gets very frustrating.
Seb.
To me, there's a high penalty for dying in that. just having to deal with her
I
again.
know what you crave, what you fear. Will you be able to live with yourself knowing what I'm gonna make you do? Poor little Joseph couldn't. Too bad they dragged you into this. But either way, you're mine. To do with as I please.
No, the crazy thing is, you think when you're playing Chapter 10, if you remember what the last video was, we went through a huge merry-go-round of death with the spinning blade. Essentially 3 mini-bosses. Then we have to deal with 4 rooms with Laura in it. Running from her, trying to set her on fire. She's a one-shot kill. She's a boss by any standard, if you ask me. She's a boss, not a mini-boss. And if you look down at the timeline on this video, we're only halfway through. That's because you get to fight a whole nother boss. Chapter 10, 3 mini-bosses and 2 main bosses. It's a tough chapter by anybody's standard, I think. Anybody that just walked through Chapter 10...
Back here again.
That would surprise me. This fragment's easy to miss only because you're still probably shaking from having dealt with Laura, and you're thinking, I've got to be towards the end of the chapter. I've got to be towards the end of the chapter, and you're just wanting to get out of it, and you just run by it. It's not hard to see. It's just timing of it's easy to miss. Now you're back in the mansion, obviously. You recognize it. You're back into the area where you saw little Reuben first dissecting some pig's head. Now this is kind of morphed into the hallway back towards his parents' bedroom. You get another very important cutscene with Dr. Jimenez.
Doc, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Trying to save us.
Really? Because it looks like you're making another monster to me.
I don't have time for this, Detective.
Neither do I.
Leslie has been here before and made it back. He survived being linked to Ruvik, the only patient ever as far as I know.
Wonderful. What does that have to do with any of this?
He's our way out, Detective. Our only way back.
That sound!
No, it's working. Oh, thank God it's working.
Leslie, are you all right?
It should have. Why didn't it? That's it. That's why.
Doctor, run!
He wants the same thing as us. He wants out.
And that was the end of Dr. Jimenez. And I honestly thought that was going to be the end of the chapter, but it's not. But that was crucial to the understanding. So what Ruvik wants is he wants out. And apparently the key to anybody getting out is Leslie.
I know you're out there. Listen to me, goddammit.
This is an unusual way to get back to the hospital. No mirrors.
Ruvik must be really pissed now. Breaking a STEM terminal? Never thought he'd go that far.
Wait, STEM?
Oh, he must be close if he's severing ties with the past. All he has left is his connection to the present. The full STEM in the hospital.
Hospital? Beacon Mental Hospital?
That's where he'll be. Waiting for him. If somebody doesn't get there first, there'll be no way out for anyone.
Again, I don't know who the guy in the cell is, but he has some insight
You
there.
have an odor of blood about you.
Well, I'm soaked in it several times today, so. And now you see that Dr. Jimenez died, and he now shows up as a missing person. And you're starting to see some irregularities at the hospital, so you're starting to see the tie that we were noting before, where Dr. Jimenez was providing Ruben with test subjects from a mental institution. The Beacon Hospital ties back to the beacon that we saw in the early chapters when we saw the light go across some of the villagers and they turned into zombies. And then we found out that the light doesn't do that to us, but we do hear something from time to time that caused Joseph to kind of want to start turning into a zombie. He claimed it was making him want to turn into a zombie. We usually just wind up holding our head and holding our ears and shaking our head, but that beacon is drawing. Remember when we stood at the end of the pier? I think we stood at the end of the pier in these videos. I hope we did. But and he said just seeing it was pulling him towards it. So everybody's being pulled towards the hospital. That's going to become a theme that will stand out in another chapter or so. But now we've got to deal with wherever this is. As usual, there's only one way you can really go, so. Now the monster that seemed to come out of nowhere and just squish Dr. Jimenez seems to be the next thing that we're going to have to deal with. I guess I knew I was full of ammo, so I didn't go over there and look at the box, but... You can tell I've played it before because I'm already trying to set the camera to be looking at the right place to see the monster come into frame. I hope that jump scare worked for you. I was trying not to be talking during it. Tried to fake a reaction there. Kneel down, duck down. Those don't hurt you. There's nothing to it, but I thought they were well timed. It doesn't actually seem to be anything you can do here. It doesn't matter whether you run. It doesn't matter how fast you run. You're always going to get hit like that. You're always knocked down here. You don't lose any health over it. You always gain all your stamina back. Did you get the idea we're in a parking garage? The theory here was to use the electric bolts to pause him. Try to shoot at head-licking like objects. That big eye would have been something good to shoot. Just flash by me quickly. can see the stamina is an issue. I think it's interesting, it loses track of you so easily. Like, it was just walking away from us. But now I've shot it back. On casual, even it is what it is, you can take a few hits from me. You can come into this room, and there's another room just like it on the other side of the parking garage, going all the way around. But you need to get out before he gets that door. If he comes to that door, if he looks in that door, reaches in there, he won't kill you with it, but he will bang you against the wall until he breaks the wall down. I mean, he's going to destroy that room anyway, but he will destroy it with you in his hand if you are still in the room when he starts to pound at it. I thought, well, maybe grenades would work real well. One thing I've always kind of liked to do is to, I don't know how he ran right over that, and then I don't know how he ran right over me. So I guess payback worked, but so we haven't hit him a whole lot. But once you see that opening like that with his head, that seems to be a person actually sticking out of that. Out of ammo. That ended so much faster. I can't tell you the number of times that we actually played that and got that result. That result surprised even me, because I swear that's much less damage than I had done to him multiple other times trying to get through this. Again, it's not a big segment, but I had to go from that hospital and I had to get through this. There are no saves here, so you're either back to the hospital or you're in the middle of this, and it's always at the start of the battle where the autosave is. So either way, it's you either at the hospital or that. If you want to know how to get through a run without any deaths, it's not an achievement, but if you want to know, you're going to see that when we finish this run, we have 2 deaths. The 2 deaths that I showed you on camera. That's not to say I died only those 2 times. I died a bunch of times. I died a bunch of times to this creature himself. The way to avoid it showing deaths is after you die, it will auto restart to the last auto save point. If at that point you immediately use the menu to load a new game, you can load back to the exact same spot just using the load game function instead of it auto triggering back there. And don't restart the chapter. If you just load back to the last autosave, you're back in the exact same spot you would have been whether or not you died. Whether or not you continued or whether you loaded. You'll be back in the exact same spot. Everything will be exactly the same as it was, but the count is erased. So you see people get no deaths. Well, you don't really know that because it depends on how they cut the videos. I died a bunch of times. I died a bunch of times, like I said, to this boss, but it's not going to show up on my end count. I'm not trying to hide it. It's just that there's no reason to show you dying over and over in the same silly ways, trying different ways. I'm just going to show you the way that wound up working for us. That way worked for us. So I don't mind leaving deaths in when it's something to be learned from it, but in this case, I've cut them out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed Chapter 10. It was a long chapter. It was a good chapter. Great to play. See you next time.